Adam's just getting his headset and everything set up there, and then you're going to have both of us today. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them into the assembly chat there, and feel free to ask them multiple times if they get missed, because sometimes the backlog there scrolls up and we don't see them. Hey, Adam, you got your headset on? He must still be getting set up. So I just got told that the shoutcast system that we were working on last week is in and working now. So that should be coming out in the next viewer build that we're going to be doing, probably the end of this week or early next week. There's so many changes we have to do builds regularly. Looks like we lost Adam again, or yeah, looks like Adam had to relog. He'll be back in a moment. So as mentioned last week, the main thing that we're working on right now is performance and content. We want to make sure that when we push the 2B viewer out to live, that we're not breaking any content, and we've been making some progress over the last week, and we've got a few odd quirks with some materials show up too shiny, and Gabby's having an issue with her eyelashes go to infinity when she puts them on, so we're sorting that out. A few odd little issues like that. We want to make sure that we don't break any content when that drops. So we're almost ready for that. Like we're very close. We also have Unity working on some bug fixes for us directly as well. They had a crash issue they had to fix for us, and then they fixed the crash issue, and now we're waiting on them to fix a bug in the latest version of their engine with cloth physics. At the moment, we don't want to. We don't want to push an update that's gonna break everybody who's using all the fun cloth physics and stuff like that. So that should be fixed soon, and then an upgrade not just to the viewer but to the version of Unity that our viewer uses, which should quite a few improvements as well. Suri wants to know, can you let us know which game controllers work in Sciencebase, and how can we identify people in the wider community to help import Unity game assets into Space? Okay, so game controllers. Any game controller that Windows can see, or I suppose Mac can see,
Yep.
should be recognized as working. We kind of abstract the way the game controllers work. All of our controls really, so that as they move around from platform to platform, if we on Mac or Windows or mobile or whatever, that you don't have to worry about, like, scripters and content builders don't have to worry about how those work. So there is the controls are handled separately from the content. So if your content should just work, you should be able to just plug in a controller and use it. Yeah, Xbox controllers are the the best supported by Windows in general. But yeah, I've got a Logitech controller that works. I've got a set of flight rudder pedals under my desk, and those work. I can navigate. I can turn and walk my avatar around using the flight rudder pedals under my desk. So pretty much anything that's recognized as a standard game controller. Adam, you got your voice on there, or are you just in text today?
Checking. Can you guys hear me okay?
You're
Yep.
very quiet.
Okay, which of
Yeah,
the
quiet.
5 microphones in my office is being used? 1 minute.
You're like way off in the distance.
Yeah, I think it's probably my. I don't know. Is that better?
Nope, still pretty quiet.
How about that?
Nope.
Okay, 1 minute. Give me a
Yeah,
second.
you're still barely audible. So while Adam's working on that, you tried to install PS3 controller onto Windows and it failed. I'm not sure about PS3 controller specifically. It's
PS3
probably a
controller
driver issue.
specifically. Yeah, PS3 controllers don't have a driver for Windows.
Yeah,
Most
you'd have to
PS4
get a
does.
specific driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're still very quiet, Adam.
Okay, I'm gonna see if I can fix my mic. I'll be a minute.
Okay. So in regards to the question of identifying people in the wider community to import um, game assets into Sciencebase, well, if you hear Adam Fine, maybe it's me. Then let me check my. No, all my volumes up. Okay. Anyway, people who can help you. I mean, you can ask it. The best place to ask it would be like our Sciencebase Discord. There's creator channels on the Discord. You can ask around if anybody's there. Um, Also, there's Unity Connect is a great resource. If you have a Unity account, which you probably do as a creator, you can just get on Unity Connect and post like, "Hey, I've got a job. I need somebody to make this or do this in Unity or whatever." And there's people, and you can put on there specifically like, I want help with Sciencebase and gets support on that. Adam wants to know if everybody is using a 2BX viewer right now, or do we have people here on the 1BX viewer? Can everybody sound out in the assembly chat if you're using a 1B viewer, the live release viewer, or if you're using viewer?
2B.
Mm. Sidearm is on 1B. Everybody else so far is on 2B. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like we have one 1B user here. Yeah, so how 30 2B 39 plus has a lot of performance improvements as well, and so that includes 2B43 as well. So curious if anybody's got any noticeable experience with that. Like, does it feel better for you? 2B43 had some delays in loading regions. Yeah, it's probably a network traffic issue more than a viewer issue. 2B does not support teleport to event from event board. Are you talking about the event board in the Welcome Center or the one in the tab? It Yeah, I was looking at that before this actually. It works for everything except this region. There's something about this region that it doesn't work. I was looking at that before office hours started, but I didn't get a chance to find a definitive answer on that. But there's something seems to be specific to this assembly region that we need to change. Adam's region, so we'll blame it on him. 2B viewer allows clicking on hyperlinks in chat. Yeah, that's a nice feature. I didn't realize we had already got that in, but I know we were talking about it. I'm glad it made the 2B43 cut off.
I think Eric has had a dozen feature requests for chat. I think that chat is now beginning to stabilize. Particularly 2B43 is looking pretty good for me.
Yeah,
Hopefully it's
the,
for everyone else.
the chat performance and the chat like consistent formatting and the scrolling working correctly and everything has been great the last couple of 2B viewers. He's really got it nailed down now. Yeah, so Artemis had a question up here. Um, Building a region experience with Karsten revolving around the idea of a coding lounge and geek hangout. Most developers have their head in programs, but it's the idea of being social, so we all do projects together. There's the idea of offering workshops. We tested being able to share live Google Docs on the in-world screen that Karsten whipped up, but is there documentation on dedicated screen sharing code right now? Right now we can share Twitch streams in world and YouTube live. Would like to know what is tested as being capable. Flying blind is educational too. Yeah, so we actually are working on um, a big focus of ours over the last couple of weeks, last 2 or 3 weeks really, has been collaborative tool space. It's something that's very important to us. It's very important to the platform. So we actually do have a screen sharing and webcam sharing conferencing system that's in Sciencebase now. We're doing some polishing work on it. We've been putting it through the ringer in a variety of test situations. That's is something that is currently focused towards being used on our white labels grid, but it does work in the main grid as well. And just our main issue with that is if anybody wants to use it in the main grid, there would have to be a discussion around costs associated with that because streaming desktops and webcams and stuff is very bandwidth intensive, especially if you've got a lot of people doing it at once. And so we may require that a certain subscription level goes with that or some other feature. But if you want to have a chat about that, then we can do that. It's just going to be it's there, it works, and we can throw some documentation. But as far as actually putting it in and making it work, letting people use it rather, then that's a policy decision and an account level permission setting that we have to turn. Yeah, there's some questions about um, automatic bug reporting that Adam's talking about there. Uh, yeah, the crash log, as Adam's saying, is whenever you start the viewer up, it wipes out the log from the previous session, so it's a little bit tricky there. When the viewer starts up, we have to figure out how to capture that log that from the last one, which is hard to do because Unity wipes that out before anything we do ever gets a chance to get a look at it. So it really has to be some kind of external program. But crash reporting and stuff is something that uh, we're making strides, adding more and more of that and analytics and stuff to really help us locate problem issues. Yeah, having in-world ability to report issues. I think we already have that in the viewer. But having it in physically in the welcome center might be an interesting option. I'm not sure there's a big advantage to that over just having it built into the user space on the viewer. Scrolling back up here, looking for more questions. So teleport to event does not work for any event in 2B. Okay, I'll have a look at that. It was working for everything except the assembly, as long as the calendar location was correct. Um, but if that's changed, then I'll check and see what broke on it. Looks like everything is spelled correctly now, so if there's an issue there, it's probably not with the calendar entry itself. Yeah, WC does have an entirely different meaning in the UK. Oh, that we fully admit that there will be bugs. We do not uh, we have no illusions about the fact that bugs happen. Yeah, as Delome points out, people don't typically just hang around the welcome center. It's people get in, they get orientated, they find someplace else that better they like to hang out, and they move on. So um, it is nice to have events there, but having the ability to report those kind of things in the interface is important because then they can do it from anywhere they are rather than we don't want people to feel like they have to go back to the welcome center to report something. Loving science base from day one. Good to hear. We're trying to make it better every day. So uh, we hope you're enjoying the journey with us. Copy paste in chat no longer works. Yeah, okay, we'll look into that. It's
That
definitely
one's a
frustrating.
tricky one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I mean, oh, sorry, go on.
I was like, we talked about this the other day, where it's like copying stuff out of text elements rather than input elements is a little bit tricky in Unity.
Yeah, the issue is that the Unity built-in UI system doesn't support that, which makes things difficult when actually not using Unity UI elements anymore for a lot of things, including chat, which makes things a little bit more difficult too, because all those things have to be re-implemented one by one. The upside is though that chat's now considerably faster because it's not using the Unity system for it.
Yeah, the Unity UI system is great. It's flexible. It's very powerful, but there's some areas of it that just aren't very scalable. So we've had to implement some alternative options for things like the chat scrolling, the shop scrolling, the inventory. things like that. Some more custom solutions to get around some of those scalability issues. But as Adam says, it means some features may have gotten lost and have to be put back in the new implementation. Let's see. Does anybody have any other questions they want to throw in the chat for myself or Adam? Adam's here, so feel free to take advantage of that this week. Artemis is working on an NPC and brainstorming AI functionality. Are there limitations that we should be aware of prior to experiments? No, AI functionality or NPC functionality is all in there. There's no limitation on that. That's just going to be, there's pathfinding. You have to have a nav mesh in the scene for the NPCs to be able to get around and do their pathfinding properly. But then other than that, it's just up to you to decide what that AI looks like. What do you want the NPC to do? Where do you want it to go? When it gets there, there's no resource limitation on that. That's just a standard asset running on the machine when the viewer's running. The issue with the screen share stuff is the audio video server that handles the connecting and streaming all that stuff out uses a lot of bandwidth, and so there's a like a per minute charge for each user that's connected to it and using it. So we have to figure out how to incorporate that charge into Sciencebase in a way that makes sense and is not onerous for people to use it. Sidearm is interested in forming some special interest communities. Would like in-world tools for sharing, not using Facebook or Discord. What kind of sharing tools are you thinking of? Do you have some specifics in mind? We are working on an update to groups that allow you to better form groups, better interact with those groups, easier to put people in them, ways to select multiple people in them or the whole group and send messages or pull them into events or things like that. So we do want to make it much easier to interact with groups of people in that way, directly in world rather than like you say using Facebook or something. I can't give you a specific release for that. That is something that we're in the planning stages right now of what's that look like on the UI. We have to we have to figure out what the user experience for that is, and that sort of thing. Is there a way to have voice chat in groups? Yeah, I mean, that's something we've been talking about, is having both one-on-one voice chats as well as chatting with the group as a whole. That is something we would like to support. The voice chat systems, it's not a big not a big task to get the voice chat systems to do that. The doing it for groups is just pending the group update, and then we can say, okay, well, if you want to have a chat with this, if you want to talk to this group, you can switch your voice channel into being the group instead of the channel, or instead of the region. Yeah, as Adam said, it should be instant to get it's for your group to show up in the directory. It just has to be made public, free to join. If it's not free to join, then it's a private group, and there's no reason for anybody to be searching it. Has the chat stacking up issue disappeared? Asking for a friend. It should be. Yeah, we're on. If you're not on 2b43, definitely encourage you to go get 2b43 from preview.sign.space. Download it, give it a try. There's been a lot of fixes in there. There'll be a lot more fixes in the next one coming out, 244 or whatever. Will be later this week or probably Monday at the latest. That's our main focus right now, is fixing those issues, fixing performance, fixing any content glitches that happen, and we want to put 2B on the live. 2B viewers, you can no longer click on a friend and cam their position. That should still be in there. It's on 2B43. I can left click on them and say inspect avatar, and it goes right to them. Is that what you were looking for? Sidearm keeps saying they're a user, not a tester. That's fine. Nobody's required to use the 2B viewers. We do encourage it because the more people who use it, then the more feedback that we get. You're working with too many new peeps here to inflict that on them until 2B is on the public download. Um, Again, it's your decision. Nobody's required to use 2B at least until we make it live. Once we make it live, everybody will have to use the 2B viewers. But until then, you're free to keep using 1B and having people use B. Um, I'm not sure why. I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. 2B at the moment. I mean, we've had some 2B viewers that were very unstable, but before they were release candidates. I don't necessarily recommend anybody um, get viewers off of staging, but if it's on preview, then those are generally pretty stable. And if it's on preview, then we're considering it a release candidate, which means it's getting close. The stability issues are getting ironed out. But again, you're not required to use it. Like I said, I like to put it out there to mention so people know that they can get the updated version if they want to try it ahead of official release. But I am not in any way saying that it's mandatory. Is there a place where it would be best to talk about experimenting with assets in Discord? Um, there's an asset that is Lua under the hood. I was curious about if it was tested in here yet. Wanted to share my findings. Um, the not just any asset you pull off the Unity asset store will work in ScienceBase. We have to whitelist assets that contain scripts. If it's an asset that's animations and textures and sounds and mesh assets and those kind of things, those you can just yank off there and put on there, no problem. If they contain custom scripts that you want to be able to use in ScienceBase, that is something that we have to review. Not nobody on Discord is really going to be able to help you with that. If we haven't whitelisted it, then nobody else on there is going to. None of the other creators are going to have had any success running it either. So if there's something that you want to be able to use, you're going to have to throw it at us. We'll review it. If it seems like a good thing to have feature wise, as well as it's stable and not going to cause any problems, then we can include it as part of our whitelist. So yeah, just send me a message about it if you've got a particular asset you want to use, or pass it on to the community team, or and then they can pass it on to us. But that has to be specifically reviewed. It was a complex dialogue system for implementing visual novel experiences in questing. Yeah, our questing system actually supports branching dialogues and things like that built into it. If there's a specific dialogue-based system that you wanted to use, I would question what it is that it does that we don't already support, and I would think probably there would be for us to add additional features to our questing system already rather than trying to shoehorn in a third party system. But that's something we can certainly look at. Uh, uh, Jamie wants to know, how do you know if your group is private and how do you change it? This is why most groups only have a handful of members. Yeah, groups at the moment are a little bit challenging um, because especially joining them requires um, people to actually seek it out, hit request access, and then you have to manually approve each person. We want to improve the way people get into groups as well. As far as how do you tell if it's private or not, on the group info panel, there's a thing that says, for some reason right now it says room access on 2B, but it says public, friends only, or approved only. So it would probably have to be set to public in order for it to show up. If it's set to friends only or approved only, then it's not going to be in search. Let's see, looking for other questions here. If I missed something, feel free to throw it back in chat again. Suri says, if you have time, can you and Adam talk? Sorry, chat scrolled back. Talk about your vision for science-based functionality and community experience over the next 6 to 12 months. Adam, do you want to talk about that?
Ooh, yeah.
That's a very broad question, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I have to go pull up my project plan to answer that one off the cuff. So I can give you some insights into some of the things we're working on. The big ones we've got is getting up to the latest versions of Unity again. We've obviously had a long struggle getting onto the 2018 release, and personally, I'm going to blame Unity for about 90.
yeah, that seems fair.
So probably for another 95% of that. I think we wasted about 9 months waiting for a plugin and ended up having to sort of go it alone on that one. Nonetheless, we have now got onto.
You're breaking up. You're kind of in and out there, Adam.
Sorry, it's because I'm not speaking to my mic. I'm speaking to my monitor. I will refrain from doing that. So the big things we've been trying to get up to has just been getting on to the 2018 release, making sure that's stable and everything up there. It's going to be rather than months before, probably sooner than that. The next one we're going to 2019. We're going to be jumping to probably almost as soon as the long-term support version comes out. We've done initial tests on 2019 and it looks big benefits for scripters. You're able to do a lot more without tanking the frame rate, which is, I think, a good for everyone. The content seems to be compatible between much more than.
Yeah, you're still breaking up there pretty bad, Adam.
Oh, okay.
I'll just recap that briefly. Adam was saying
Yeah.
our main focus has been getting the 2017 to 2018 jump done, which for a variety of reasons has been a major pain just because Unity changed so much. They introduced a bunch of new bugs. We also had an issue with substances. Long story there. Substance support got removed from Unity and had to be put back in. And the company behind that is has been dragging their feet on a lot of things. But what Adam's also saying, once we get 2018 out, we'll be able to almost immediately make the jump to 2019. We're just waiting for them to go stable on that. Right now, 2019 is still considered beta by Unity as well. Even though they're working on a 2020 as well, they haven't moved 2019 into a stable branch yet. And when they do, we've already got internal 2019 builds that we've done and tested. Huge improvements in performance for a variety of reasons. There's some there, but they changed almost nothing in regards to content. So it's a very easy switch for us to make as they go stable on that branch.
So that's the short-term stuff. That's the stuff we need to do and to make sure that works well. The next thing that we need to do is we've got a couple of things sitting waiting to go out the door. We've got a whole host, if you may have noticed already in the 2BX line, the room editor above. It is now working fastly, fast multi-user editing in the same scene on the same floor at the same time. We've got new placement tools, which are great. We've got mainland stuff that we've been talking about. That stuff's almost ready to go out too. One bug sitting there, but that'll be getting some of our attention shortly. Besides that, some of the other big things we got coming down is that you may have noticed that avatars are loading a lot faster in the. That's because we've got a lot of work on optimizing how avatars load. It's the reason why going into this scene now with dozens of avatars doesn't tank the region. We're going to be taking that to a next level. We're actually doing some tests at the moment to see how many avatars we can shove into a space at one time. So we're doing a bit of work there. That will make things like club region events much better to pull off. We're actually talking to a couple of big music acts who I cannot name at the moment about doing large-scale events. We're keen to and see where we can run. Besides that, I think the other big focuses have been new user experience. We've got a team working on rebuilding the new user experience to make it easier and friendlier to drop people into a virtual world, to explain what it is and hold them through that process. Right now, we do get lots of users for every day, but we don't always. So we're really focused. There is some other things that are coming down the pipeline. We've got some changes to camera controls. They were requested back in January. Those have been putting people on, and those will be coming around down the pipe. Hopefully, probably one or two sort of major versions away. We'll be doing a few more major versions more regularly once we've got the 2018 out as well. We probably branch off the editor pack as well. Finally, get away from editor pack 14 because it's currently sitting as editor pack 14 point version 460.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit bulky.
Yeah, that's something I was emphasizing last week as well, is that once we make the jump to 2018 to the 2B series viewers completely, it's actually going to free up a lot of time and resources for us to work on other things, because right now we have a lot of time, some that it's getting sunk into maintaining 1B series viewers and that infrastructure and stuff.
Yeah, in fact, I would further add to that one that the most important thing that users can help us with is telling us if any of their content has broken.
Yeah,
Have
absolutely.
Any regressions there. That is the most important thing that they want to help. We're doing testing on our own. We've got a couple of test cases of broken content, but if we don't know about them, we haven't spotted them, then
yeah, there's hundreds of thousands of pieces of content, and some having us, just our team, where I'm looking at every single one, takes forever. So the more users can just tell us if they notice something, then it lets us get through that much faster. Artemis has a question here. Is there any ability to create a personal welcome center where someone could click on a welcome link and pop into our region instead of the main welcome center, I assume? That is theoretically possible. It was something we would have to explore, what kind of interface we make available to you. We can already do it on other grids, and we can do it ourselves internally. But exposing that, we'd have to have a discussion around. Does it make sense to let people do that on the main grid versus on their own grid?
I would say to the answer to that question, while we may not particularly focus on it as a public feature, if you think that you can do a better welcome center, we would be happy to let you try. I think that if that's a discussion that you want to take up with us, send us a message afterwards, and probably just have a little discussion and sign up link and perform. Do a great job, then perhaps we can make part of a more.
Yeah, that's that's absolutely like, it's kind of a general thing. Is we never will say, oh, we already did that, you can't do it. you know, if you think you can make a better welcome center, or any other type of thing, like we're not saying no, you can't do that, and we already have the ability to funnel people to different regions on login, so it would just be a matter of you laying out to us, hey, this is what this is what the landing page is going to look like. This is where they sign up. This is what the welcome center looks like. This is how I want to get people, the flow of getting people in through to my welcome center versus your welcome center, and we can absolutely evaluate that and say, yeah, why not try it?
As a follow-up to that second point about people with zero experience and things being overwhelming, we actually have a lot of information on this. One of the things we do as part of our testing process is we actually have an agency that does user testing sessions. And for those who don't know what those are, basically it involves people being sat down in front of a computer and handed the isolated from us. We've got no ability. We get a video recording where people get stuck. So we are building a new welcome center at the moment that is pretty heavily influenced by a lot of these recordings. We are also looking at other things like tutorial prompts and things inside the actual viewer. For reference, we do a lot of these tests. We've been doing about December. We started ramping up. So we've got hours or hundreds of hours at this point, probably, of these recordings that we're looking at and optimizing how to get going.
Yeah, we're always open to experimenting. As Adam said, we are building an entirely new onboarding system and a new experience for users showing up. That's not just dropping them into the welcome center, but that's more guided, more interactive, and hopefully more um, kind of user interest tailored, so people can kind of more quickly get to the things that interest them specifically, and in a guided fashion that's uh, is not frustrating for them, but is also not too helicoptery, too we don't want it to be too guided, too much on rails, but we also want to be able to make it easy for them to get to where they want to go and experience the way things they want to experience quickly. So yeah, that whole thing is in progress. But again, if you think you can do better, throw us a pitch, and we're more than happy to, um, you know, have them all. We don't care how people get in. If you want to get people in through one way, then and you think that's going to have a better success rate, then we're more than happy for you to try that. Sidearm has a question about will when 2B is released. Um, it sounds like you're asking if we're going to be moving technical staff into dedicated roles, like putting somebody on, you are only doing commercial production, and this other person is only doing technical enhancements and new developments for the platform. I don't know that we have enough people that it makes sense to form those concrete teams and keep people locked inside those boxes right now. Um, it's more of a what's a higher priority than it is. We have broad company wide priorities, and those priorities can change from week to week, depending on what we're doing, what our clients need, grid needs. So locking people in and saying um, you are only doing technical enhancement, you can never do anything else, isn't necessarily going to be a good approach for us right now. Are you doomed to be eternal beta testers? Um, I mean, we're never going to stop updating and changing the platform. So it's one of those things where it's like, we want the main grid to be stable and fun and engaging and high performance. And but we're never going to reach a point where we say, okay, that's it, this is done. We're finished with this. We're always going to be looking at, what can we do better, what can we change to make the experience better, what features can add. So at least some parts of the viewer, some parts of the platform are always going to be in that sort of state of ongoing development. Um, so kinda, I mean, you aren't necessarily required to use the experimental stuff most of the time, but um, you know we will often be making changes to things like we were just talking about the welcome center, like the way users get in there. If something's not working with the onboarding experience, we may try a whole new onboarding experience. Well, I mean, if you want to pay for your own grid, that's an entirely different experience than the main grid. Our corporate users, our white label users, do have the option of saying, "This is it. This is the feature set we want, and don't change it." But
Yeah,
that's a completely separate experience, a completely separate conversation.
yeah. I'll drop in an injection here as well. One of the differences with Sciencebase, especially when we set out to build this, was a virtual world that was stuck in time. I started off in Active Worlds back in 1996 or 97, so very long time ago. And if you go check out Active Worlds today, it looks the same as it did in roughly the year. If you hop into, say, Second Life, which is another very popular world that I'm sure you're all familiar with, again, you see that the graphics quality is still stuck at the same level of about 2003, 2005, somewhere. And now people can miracles with it, lots of blood out of that stone. There is a finite capacity. One of the things that I build virtual industry, not fine wave, is platforms hardened.
Yeah, we're getting like 30% of that, Adam.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well,
I can recap
yeah,
if you want.
yeah. So when we build science-based, look, there is always going to be something under development, and the reason for that is that we don't want to get stuck in the past. It's very easy to build on one particular graphics engine and stay there, but that's really not what we're about. We're about sort of continually trying to push the boundaries. Now, is there going to be a point at which we strip off the beta label and become sort of product? Yes, there is. I actually had a date on that one until drug out of that date. However, we do have another one. That part is
Yeah, we're I'm still hearing only like every like fourth
okay.
word
I'm
you're
going to let you
saying there.
summarize then.
Okay, so basically, Adam was saying, um, we don't want to be, we don't want to get to a place where we stop development and then the rest of technology leaves us behind. This has happened to so many virtual worlds where they get to a certain point of development, and for whatever reason, either because they lock themselves into a proprietary system that they don't have the resources to maintain, or the engine they were using is longer available, or whatever, they get to a point where they're done more or less. Like they can add sort of stuff onto it, but their main rendering engine, their main content system, reaches a point of stagnation. This has happened with Active Worlds and with Second Life, and with a lot of other platforms before them, and some smaller platforms that still exist. And we don't want to be that platform. We don't want to stagnate. We don't want to reach a point where you know stop pushing the envelope and then everybody else passes us by and the horizon. That's not where we want to be. We are always going to be developing new stuff, pushing technologies, seeing what makes sense at science based. Um, that being said, the question was around: are we going to rip that beta label off? Yes, we will reach a point where we just say, okay, this is a product, and this is not beta anymore. This is a live product. Uh, as Adam was saying, we did have actually a date on that, but this worldwide pandemic just kind of and just kind of threw everything into disarray, and our priorities had to change. Our folks had to change. But we do have a new date on that, and of course, some of that's going to be on what happens over the next 6 months, 12 months. But yeah, we do absolutely plan. I say this isn't science-based beta anymore. This is science-based. But even once we rip that beta label off, we're not going to stagnate. We're still going to always be saying, what can we do better? What can we fix? What works? What doesn't? Even if something, is complete, is feature complete, we might look at it and say, that's feature complete to the way that we had envisioned it to be, but it's just not getting the results that we want it to be. We think we can do better. Let's do it again in a different way. So yeah, we're never going to stop developing, but we aren't going to be a quote unquote beta platform forever. Does that about cover it, Adam?
Yeah, I think you did, and hopefully we'll be able to actually announce a date at some point.
Yeah. It would be great if we can put that date out there, but if we keep putting dates out there and then situations change and we don't want people to go look at it, it's like, oh well, what happened to the last date? We are absolutely we do absolutely want to say, okay, this is launch. We're not beta anymore, and we'll share as much information as we can about that as we get up to that point. Um, Artemis says our group in particular is for a group of guys in their 60s plus who are trying to introduce through WebGL first, but it needs to be dead simple. And they're open to it because of the shelter in place, as I don't think it would have been easy to talk to this group before. Yeah, the pandemic, the shelter in place orders that are going on worldwide have really changed everybody's focus, not just ours, but like, globally, everybody is sitting down at virtual conference tables going, okay, we have to do things differently now. What are our options? Where do we go? Who do we talk to? So it's brought a lot of people to the virtual table that were not interested or only passingly interested in the past. which is great. I think long term it's going to be really interesting to see what happens from there with people. Even after all of this is calmed down and the pandemic is a thing of the past, hopefully sooner rather than later. But um, how much of this will continue? How much will people be like, yeah, that was actually a great experience working in a virtual world? Maybe we don't all need to actually be in the office every day. Maybe we can get a lot of stuff done in a more technologically oriented fashion. So I'm personally very excited about how much of that is just going to keep going from here. Finally get that, push us over that precipice that we've been promised, for the last 10, 15 years that this was going to happen. It took a pandemic for people to go, oh, actually, we can do this. Yeah, sidearm emphasizes the passingly interested, and yeah, and that's been a thing. Is a lot of people have been like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea, but getting people to actually change and commit to something new and different is very different than them merely entertaining the idea. So this is kind of made a lot of people go, okay, we that was interesting before, but now we have to pull the trigger on it, and we have to figure out how to make it work. So we've got about 15 minutes here left. Anybody has any questions? Um, Adam's going to try and join us periodically. So when he's here, I definitely encourage people to take advantage of the fact that he's here. If you have questions that I'm one of the senior engineers here, of course, but Adam is the founder and developer of the platform, so he's always going to be the guy with the most knowledge. Delome says that she has one for us. Okay. Yeah. This is something that it's just good for us to emphasize on a regular basis. Is that um, a lot of the work we do, um, it may be spurred in cases by clients coming to us, corporate clients coming to us and saying, um, we need a platform that does X and Y. Can you make that happen? And so some features, the genesis of those features is a request for, hey, can you make our white label do this? Um, our focus is not on the white labels exclusively. The white labels are just copies of the main grid in terms of the infrastructure and the functionality and the viewers and everything. They're not getting anything special that the main grid isn't using. If a white label client, a corporate client or an educational client asks for a feature and we put that feature in, everybody gets it, everybody benefits from it. We're not um, blocking stuff behind that, especially in terms of the platform. We want the entire platform to grow as one. So we've made a lot of changes. We've had clients come to us and say, we want to hold events with 500 people in one region, or things like that, and we want to have this this performance issues with the avatars, performance issues, with region loading, things like that. If somebody says, we need more capability than what's currently there, or we need improved capability over what's currently there, we're not just improving it on one side and not the other. Like we're improving it across the whole platform. Everybody benefits from, and that includes things like I said, like I assume this question was brought up by the screen sharing conversation earlier. We definitely absolutely want those collaborative tools in the main grid. We've tested them in the main grid. They work in the main grid. The only thing there is like, okay, if there's a per minute charge for using it, then we have to make sure that per minute charge makes sense, and figure out what the payment structure is for that. But we're not withholding those tools.
Yeah, in fact, I would add slightly to that one that things like the screen sharing tools actually are really useful for when showing someone how to do something. What I'd like to do is actually get to the point where I'm restarting my master classes, but doing it purely in here, which we now actually do, which I think could be quite cool.
Yeah, that actually is a really great point that Adam's making there. Is that the screen share tools are fantastic for, oh, you're having trouble? We'll just share your screen and we'll figure out how to fix it together. Because anybody who's been in any sort of technical support or customer service role knows that oftentimes just being able to see what the customer is seeing what that other person is seeing makes all the difference. You can fix it in 10 seconds instead of 10 minutes, you know? So yeah, and Adam used to do master classes, and it'd be great if you actually do master classes in World, and the screen sharing and webcam stuff works really well. So it'd be great to actually hold classes in ScienceBase, and you could share what you're doing in Blender or Unity or Photoshop or whatever directly into the world for everybody to see. Fantastic for class use that way as well. So yeah, we absolutely want that functionality in here, and that's true of all functionality. We're not holding anything back from the main grid. It gets everything that any other grid gets. Is it looked upon negatively if I go into preview and share video and photography from there to social media? If I find a publicly open region and film there, I've stumbled into regions on live and preview. If it wasn't sure if I should be filtering. Um, No, it's not frowned on. The preview grid has the same controls as the main grid. If people don't want you to go in their region, they can disable going into their region. And so that's really on a region by region basis. If it's set to public on the preview grid, then it's public, and the creators there have to you know assume that people are going to find it, and people do. So yeah, same rules apply to the main grid there, just with the understanding that if you go into a region on preview, it might not be finished. It might have bugs. It might have missing assets or textures or whatever, because that creator is still working on it. That is the work in progress grid. So, if you're on the preview grid, and you find something that doesn't make sense or is broken, might be worth sending the message to the creator, but odds are they probably already know about it. They're still working on it. And if it was finished, it would be on the live grid.
Just to add to that, there's a long-term aspiration. We're not about to make this change in the next few months, but it is my goal to actually get the preview grid gone at some point and actually just merge it into the live grid as a kind of limited access regions and content.
That'd be cool if you could pick when you go to a region. Oh, I want to see the work in progress or the live version rather than it
Yeah,
being
then
on a
you've got
separate grid.
creator access, then you can go look at it. That won't happen soon, but it is something that I really because times.
Gabby, the issue with the blue stripe people, yeah, that's it's not really any slower loading. We just changed how things load. The issue is there is in the past viewers would load the avatar as the information became available. So it might load the skin, and then it might load the morphs, and then it might load the clothing and stuff like that. And we wanted to make sure that um, at no point avatar morphs or the avatar skin loaded before all the morphs did, because then that resulted in things like your body changed shape but your clothes hadn't adapted yet, so you had like bits of your body poking through clothes. And so we changed it so that the stay blue stripey until everything is finished loading. So it's really not taking longer than it used to, but there's now actually more visual indication that the loading is still in progress.
I'll also
Um,
add to that one that there is a slight change to the loading speed too, actually, as well. We have previously in the previous viewers, one of the big performance changes between 1BX and the 2BX series is that avatars now load asynchronously on a background thread. They were mostly doing that before, but there was one big time-consuming chunk which was actually loading synchronously. We now do thread that, so that part might be a little bit slower than before.
yeah, that makes sense. Just because um, when it was not threaded before, it was the viewer's main focus, and so it had to finish that before doing other things. But now that it's threaded, it may be working on other stuff simultaneously, and so it may seem a little bit slower just because the viewer's doing 2 or 10 things at once instead of just one thing at a time. Better multitasking going on there. but yeah, the main change is that it's just visually you can see that the loading hasn't completed. Avatars should a lot of that should be mitigated as well because we're improving the speed with which all those things load and happen, especially in regards to your clothing happening. We've been talking about that shader replacement that we've been doing. We've been seeing really positive results from the shader replacement, and I believe most, if not all, of the clothing content on preview has been done, and it's under testing, and so hopefully we'll be able to push that shader replacement to the live grid in the and there's some real performance gains from that. The viewer has less to do when it's loading your clothing than it puts more time onto other things. You notice when you switch outfits, the original outfit wouldn't remove, so it looked like I have two outfits, but I ended up clicking off everything before I can change outfits to come through. Yeah, there's outfits are on layers, and so if you put on one outfit that's on a loose fitting layer, and you've got another outfit that's maybe on a closer fitting layer, um, then putting on one outfit isn't going to change, isn't going
Actually,
to remove the other outfit.
that might sound like a bug. I would actually file that one on the issue tracker. We maybe can do that afterwards. I suspect I've seen this one myself. We're flipping between outfits before the previous one fully loaded. It does seem to be there's a small bug there.
Okay, so it might pop in bits of the old outfit if you're switching rapidly. Yeah,
Yeah, it
we can look at
does.
that. But that's still what I was saying earlier is actually it may still be the case as well as that some outfits aren't going to necessarily replace other bits of outfits automatically, especially if you're changing it from like your inventory. If you put on a new shirt or a new dress or something, if it's on a different layer than something you were already wearing, then you may end up wearing both just because they're on different layers. So you would have to go into the outfit window and say, "Oh, take off the old one." So we've got about five-ish minutes here left. If anybody's got any last minute questions they want to throw at us here, we are getting near the top of the hour. Snowtrack says if you have a silver plan with 5 1024s and you don't want to go to the plan of 10 248, is it possible to add more 1024s one by one to your silver plan? Currently, that's not possible. I don't think we have the option of adding on individual regions to an existing plan. Um, I don't know if it makes sense to do that. It's something we could look at. That's more a policy decision. It wouldn't require a whole lot of technical changes, but it's just a matter of like at what point does this get so onerous to deal with? It's like what's your what's your subscription? Then what add-ons do you have to that subscription? And are those being paid for? They would have to be like the payment would have to be resynchronized with, or you'd end up paying with for the add-ons differently, separate times of the month than you are paying for the subscription itself. There's a lot of administrative stuff around that, whether it makes sense to do that or whether it makes sense to simply offer um, more levels of subscriptions with more intermediate plans in there might be the. I can look at subscription cost here. I'm not sure how big of a jump that one is. So you're looking at the gold plan, or you're looking at the silver plan versus the gold plan. That is a substantial jump in cost. We're going from $25 there to $75. So yeah, it might make sense for us to have some sort of intermediate option there. That's just something we would have to discuss as a policy decision. Bigger streamed regions and mainlands. I know there's more efficient or different tiers coming for landlords. We're not really locking anything um, behind landlords. So a landlord who comes to us and says, "Hey, I want to have a community in Sign Space. I need a lot of space and a lot of land." Um, they're not getting special technology.
There will be something for mainland regions when we release that one, just because they a lot more space.
Yeah, there will be. Yeah, there will be a slightly different technology, and has its own interface for like handling parceling and things like that. And it'll have an interface, and we'll have to deal with how your tenants pay you, whether that's with gold or whatever. But it's not something we're saying only specific it. It's just a matter of, that technology is there. Who wants to use it? Who wants to set it up? And what does that, again, just policy decisions. Is there an existing way to make my home space only open to a selected group of, say, 30 residents? You can set it to group access. Regions have the option, either have a region specific access list, or you can set them to friends. And I believe they also have, don't we have a group permission setting in there as well? If not, then we'll be adding that with the group update as well. Yeah, groups can be made private as well. And we want to tie those more closely together in our upcoming group update. That's one of the things we want to be able to do is say, yeah, I've got these people in my group, select these 5 people, invite them over to my region, add them as members to this region, things like that. Yeah, as Adam says, regions internally are actually just a special type of group. That's why you'll see a lot of crossover between the regions. If you open the region admin panel and the group admin panel, you'll notice they're basically the same. That's because internally they basically are the same. The region is just a group of people allowed to access that region. Any updates to the user guide for streaming into Sciencebase? That is actually probably something Adam can talk about. Adam's been um, uh, on the front of the all of our streaming activities over the last couple of weeks.
Yes, it definitely will be because there's two big changes coming. One is that we have robustly tested and confirmed streaming video does work, which is good. That's using the embedded video components that already exist. But one thing that we need.
Yeah, I think we lost Adam there. Adam was saying that we have been doing a lot of testing that streaming into Sciencebase does work. You can stream existing videos, like if you just put a video on a website, you can stream YouTube. We've been streaming like OBS, anybody who does streaming to like Twitch or YouTube Live or something will be familiar with the Open Broadcasting Studio. So we've been successfully streaming from OBS in Sciencebase for live events, keynote speeches, that kind of thing. Yeah, and we've got the new Shoutcast stuff, which is great. So there'll be documentation for that going up on the wiki as soon as we polish up and finalize what the user interface is looking like. Which is there's some little updates to the user interface we want to make before we start making documents for it. That way the pictures don't immediately get outdated. But yeah, there'll be new documentation going up on the website for all of that. A lot of features we throw together and make them work and then test them internally or in specific situations, verify that they work, figure out what doesn't work, are there bugs, we need to make changes to the underlying system. And then once that sort of foundation is laid, we can put the public facing user interface on them, and the public facing documentation has to come after that public facing user interface. Yeah, my son is a computer science major, has a T-shirt that says "Document my programs. Why do you think they call it code?" Yeah, that's about true. Getting programmers to document their code is a bit of an undertaking. Yeah, and as Adam says, we are experimenting with a new documentation system that's more like a knowledge base than a wiki, just because it'll be easier to use, more information in the right place, more easier to find the information that you're looking for, and easier for our staff and especially our frontline staff to help maintain that. Suri has a question about does voice to text work in chat? most computers have a voice to text system built in. If Windows 10 has one as part of their accessibility features, they have voice to text, and there's no reason that that shouldn't work. If you start up like Windows 10's voice to text feature, um, click on the whatever input box you want it to go into, like the chat input box or whatever, and just talk. It should whatever text it translates should go into the input box. If it doesn't, let us know. Um, yeah, it should work, but we're not promising that Windows 10 has the best interpreter. It should work with any other voice text software that you've got. If you download a specific one, I'm sure there's better ones out there that are paid for. The one in Windows 10 is just kind of a cheap built-in free one. Um, yeah, Dragon's a really popular one. Any sort of third-party text to speech or speech to text should work there as well. Yeah, Google Voice typing. Yeah, that's an option also. There's a bunch of popular solutions out there that should work.
Yeah, we've looked actually into both voice to text and text to speech. The only catch is that, again, a lot of these providers are quite expensive, and it's fine at a small level. Like, for instance, if we've only got 100 users to worry about, it's a cost we can easily write off. The problem is that if they become popular features, this also applies to translation too, is that the services charge per word. It's a small amount, it adds up very quickly.
Yeah,
Costs
absolutely.
now about $15 per user per month if they're actively using it, which is a little bit beyond what we're willing to spend, especially since we're carrying a lot of free users.
Yeah, yeah,
More language
absolutely.
reviewer, yes, we are. In fact, we just had a call, me and Rowan and a few others, about 2 hours ago, asking to add a few more languages. We can. You also users can add additional languages too. That's an undocumented feature, but for text file called English.txt, all write your own translations. You send them back to us. We could drop them in too.
Yeah, all of the translations for the languages are in user accessible files within the viewer install directory. So yeah, those can all be added on or changed. Like I said, Adam said, like a bit of an undocumented feature there. Most people aren't going to want to mess with that, but yeah, we would like to support as many languages as possible, of course. It's just a matter of having the people to sit down and do the translation. Every time we add something, new translations have to go into every file. You know somebody who do we have somebody on the team who speaks Spanish? Do we know, can we get a service that does that, which is added cost and time onto that. So yeah, there's a practical limit there, but we do definitely want to have as many languages as possible. Yeah, Gabby's giving us wink wink in the chat there. Used to work for NCSoft translating.
Won't say
well,
no, thank you. Yeah.
yeah, well, we can have a conversation about that. Absolutely, that's something we can talk about. But yeah, Spanish seems like a no-brainer to have in there. It's just I don't think we have any Spanish staff at the moment, do we?
Not that I know of.
I don't think we have anybody on the staff that speaks Spanish at the moment, but I haven't taken a poll of all the languages our staff members speak. But yeah,
She's our
if you want to help do a Spanish translation, and let's have that conversation. Gabby, more than pretty eyebrows or eyelashes, which we are working on, by the way. We've got our art team and our technical team in our Shanghai office digging through that, trying to figure out what's going on with your lower lashes going to infinity there. They're also looking at, I believe, the rigged material issue. Did we have any update on that this morning, Adam?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
The one of the issues Gabby has been reporting to us over the last couple of weeks has been multiple materials on rigged clothing. At that.
Three issues tracking now. I think two of them are sitting with the team at the moment. The third one relates to overriding the actually have that tool in there. Again, going on the two document list. In fact, I've got a today just documenting all these new things we've added.
Yeah. Okay. I think we got most of that. I don't know what's up with your voice today. I don't know if your internet is flaking out or whatever, but you've been very spotty today on voice. Yeah, you disconnecting from Skype too. Yeah, it sounds like your internet is not having a good day over there. Okay, so we're 10 minutes after here, so I think we're just gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Um, Feel free to send us messages individually. I know I've got a couple of chat tabs here blinking at me, so you can get us on Discord or send us messages directly, send us mail, whatever. And if you've got specific issues that you want to talk about outside of office hours here, or talk about more in depth, but we're gonna leave it there for today, I think. So thank you to Adam for joining us this week, and hopefully next time he pops in, he'll have better internet connection.
Yep. See you guys.